Today we are going to create a simple logo from a tiger image. It will not be a step-by-step tutorial, but more of a concept video showing how you can approach turning an image into a logo. The first thing we need to do is to identify the most important lines in the image. We're not looking at all the little details, but at the main shapes that make the face of the tiger recognizable. Things like the shape of the mouth, nose, how the eyes relate to the nose, the overall head shape, the ears and the cheeks. Now that we have an idea on the main lines, next step is to draw these lines in Affinity to create a kind of a grid from which we can compose our design. I'm going to use the pen and the node tool to create these lines. For this process, the keyboard shortcuts P for pen and A for node will be your best friend. Usually, I draw the basic line using the pen tool and with the node tool, fine-tune and extend it. When using the node tool, you can hold the shift key to make sure the line gets extended in the same angle. Besides the pen and the node tool, sometimes you need to move them, which you can do by using the move tool, for which you can use the shortcut key V. Let me also center the face and adjust the lines I created to make sure I will get a symmetrical design at the end. Once I'm done with the lines on the left side, I can group and duplicate them, so that I can use the same lines on the right side of the face. Next, I'll add the circular shapes which I need for the shape of the face and the ears. One other tip is to make sure that the snapping is turned on, which will be a great help in positioning the shapes and the nodes. I think we have a nice grid from which I can make the basic design. With a different color, I'll draw the basic shapes of the final design. Again, this doesn't have to be perfectly precise as this will be an intermediate step. The goal here is to get the basic design shapes of the final design so I can get rid of the busy grid lines. With the grid lines gone, we now have a clear idea what the final design is going to look like. This is also the phase where you can make some adjustments in the design. For example, I don't like the position of the ears. I can enable the grid, make the changes in the grid, and then adjust the blue design lines. Once I'm happy, the actual work starts to create the final design. And how you do this is a personal preference. I personally like to use compound objects as they are not destructive and give me a lot of flexibility to adjust the design later. So in order to make the left ear, I'm going to use a rectangle which I will subtract from the ellipse. I can select the ellipse and the rectangle and from the vector menu use the geometry option and hold the Alt option key to get the compound option. I'll repeat the same steps to create the rest of the shapes. Sometimes you have to be a little bit creative by creating multiple compound objects and combine them in a way so that you get the shape you need. In some cases you will need to extract shapes and then add them to the main shape. This can take a bit of fiddling and experimenting, but at the end you will end up with a very flexible design. As the design is symmetrical, I can group all the shapes and then apply a clipping mask, which leaves me with the left part of the design. I can now copy and flip this horizontally to get the right part. As I have used compound objects, it's super easy to make adjustments to the design. For example, I feel like the spacing in the middle is not in sync with the outer spacing in the face. I can easily move the shapes in the compound objects to adjust this. Similar with the ears, I can reposition or resize them as I see fit without recreating them. Pretty cool. The basic design is ready, and if you need, you can further fine-tune it, for example by expanding the strokes or adding additional elements. Anyway, I hope you liked this video, and thanks again for tuning in. See you in the next video.
Good intro. say some here.